The FPS genre is currently a crowded mishmash of the same reused and recycled concepts, released year after year, to the chagrin of the player base and fans of this genre. Few times do we get a game that actually creates a meaningful change in the genre with new and unique mechanics and concepts that create a game that has staying power. Overwatch popularized the hero shooter, giving players a kit of specific skills and abilities, as well as roles to fulfill in an FPS, as well as moving and changing objectives on maps. Valorant took this to the next level, providing a more tactical experience akin to that of the Counter-Strike series. Then, on the flip side, we also had Titanfall, in which your hero was really a mech with special abilities that you piloted, all while still being able to evacuate the unit and fight on the ground in typical FPS style, albeit with wall running and other fantastic movement objects and options, which Apex Legends really sorely lacks and does indeed need to bring back. Outside of these few outliers, such as Overwatch 2 currently, Valorant, or CSGO, the shooter genre is very alike in what it has to offer. You run around on the ground with your weapon. You selected a few variants in each typical class, such as assault rifles, submachine guns, sniper rifles, etc. Of course, you'd change the attachments on them. A different sight picture, larger magazines for ammo capacity, different muzzle attachments to increase accuracy, reduce recoil, or reduce the sound you make when you shoot. And then, typically, you just slap on a skin and call it good. Call of Duty has followed this model for over a decade, and quite successfully. Battlefield has also dipped in this model and followed this for the near same amount of time. And you do occasionally see other shooters jump into using this style. Most recently, the X-Defiant beta showcased this as a competent weapon loadout and creation system. Other games have done this as well. Come to mind even the primarily PvE co-op shooter, The Division. The Division 2 allows you to do the same similar things. Enter Boundary. Now, Boundary does have these typical same modern cookie-cutter FPS trappings as well. You have your different characters, your heroes, called operators. You can choose to play as all with their different specialties, from the straightforward firearms expert, who focuses on firearms, primarily assault rifles, and in some cases, DMRs for mid-range engagements. Then you have your marksman specialist, who utilizes sniper rifles and various abilities that can help scan for enemies and mark them for your team. Your defensive specialist, utilizing light machine guns as well as a personal defense buff. Normal trappings are here. A mid-range specialist, a healer, and an assassin, all with relevant kits and usages to their assigned role, which complement the various game modes available pretty well. Aside from these heroes available to choose from, you furthermore have the customization options of most of these FPS games as well. You level up each gun individually alongside your overall account rank or your operator rank. This means you can put new attachments on them, much like in the typical Call of Duty. New sight, new stocks, new magazines, the usual. Then you can slap on a new skin and an ornament, and a little personal flair as well. However, along here with the skins, you do have a little bit of difference. You can individually put a skin on each different part of the gun, so you can come up with some weird amalgam of a pink magazine, a red sight, a yellow muzzle attachment, whatever you choose. It can get pretty out there. Then each operator itself can have their suit customized with a different skin, mostly just different camo patterns. You can have a little helmet attachment as well for a little added flair, and finally an arm patch as well can be applied to the suit. Game modes are all rather non-unique as well. Domination, Team Deathmatch, Purge, Single Life Elimination. Sabotage is, sabotage from Call of Duties of the past, where two teams are fighting over a single bomb to plant on the enemy's defensive point to blow it up to win. Then you do have Control, which is, control from the current Call of Duty. One team is attempting to capture a point, they capture it, they move on to the next point on the map, and it's ever moving with the objective moving. This is where the similarities really do end, though, and the game itself becomes one of those kind of potentially genre-defining games. The gameplay is where it really shines. You're no longer just trapped on Earth where gravity is holding you down. You don't have jetpacks like you had in later installments of Black Ops, I guess earlier installments of Black Ops at this point, or Advanced Warfare, or anything like that. You are fighting in space. You are fighting in zero-G environments. You have a full 360-degree battlefield where you rotate yourself around, you move up and around objects in full 3D spaces, and it really creates an absolutely unique fighting environment. Now, there was some game years and years ago called Shattered Horizons that was kind of similar. You fought in these space areas, but it wasn't quite the same. It was older. The developers made some poor game changes, which kind of killed the multiplayer-only title at launch. Now, in these 3D space environments, well, all games are a 3D space environment. In these 360 degree of movement environments, that being in space around usually partially damaged or destroyed space stations, you have various movement abilities and utilities that also shine here. From an afterburner that gives you a quick boost to speed to cover open spaces on a short 6-second cooldown, to a grappling hook that will zip you quickly to a piece of space debris to fly through the map quickly to the next objective, or chase down an enemy, or quickly get out of line of sight of an enemy. The gameplay in Boundary is truly special and really unlike what else we have available currently on the market. Time to kill is fairly low, and in some cases, you'll need to repair your spacesuit, or you'll lose oxygen and die, which is a little kind of Far Cry stylish animation where you staple your suit closed and hope for the best. Enemies tend to be led at longer distances, and long-range sniping duels can be frustrating and fun to participate in. The guns feel pretty good to use. Adequate recoil is present, requiring some skill to keep it on target accurately, but not enough recoil to really make any gun just unruly to use. The more offensive abilities can be a pain to use, such as the high explosive grenade launcher or the MP launcher, but once you do get those down, get down their trajectories, their bounce angles, they are really fantastic tools to utilize, especially inside of objective-based modes, such as domination or sabotage or control. This truly 360-degree space to play in is really something to behold, though, fair warning, it can be very disorienting. So if you are subject to motion sickness, it might be best to sit this one out or take your whatever it is you take for motion sickness before you play it. But as it goes, there are actually very few gripes that I have with the game. Seeing as it's in early access, that's okay with a couple of these gripes, especially for what has been delivered currently. There's about as many maps as you have currently in a full launch Season 3 version of Call of Duty. Operating the menus can be a bit weird. You can't just kind of back out of some menus. You have to go all the way through and confirm every choice once again. Like if you're trying to change a weapon, no, you have to go through and confirm that weapon fully again with all the changes that you wanted to make, even though you didn't end up making any changes at all. The servers are also not region locked, so on US-based servers, I was consistently playing against players with 200 or more ping, and that just does not make for a good experience. One other complaint I saw from reviews was that hackers were present, though maybe I just got very lucky. I don't think I ran into many hackers, or at least any that I didn't notice at all, and if they were hacking, they just weren't very good. But I also don't think I saw any anti-cheat running alongside the game. I could be wrong, so this is a very real possibility that hackers could be present if you're playing on various different regional servers. So if you are going to dive into it, make sure you select only the regions where you have good ping. One feature change I think would be great would to have actual physics added to the bullet impacts on the player. You're in space, you're wearing I'm assuming a Kevlar-infused bullet-resistant spacesuit because you don't die right away. A bullet would move you along the trajectory that it's traveling, so you'd think you would move a little bit, but currently that's not anything that happens at all. You get a little bit of screen shake, you're told you're being shot, and typically you die pretty quick. The TTK is very low. Then again, this just could be something that they opted not to have. as more of this movement could be very disorienting for an already quite disorienting game where you're worrying about operating in a full 360-degree space. Anyways, is this a COD killer or the next Battlefield or anything like that? Probably not. But the possibility is there that it can become popular enough to create a much-needed injection of originality into a tired FPS genre that we currently have. Boundary is currently in early access on Steam and released as such on April 13th. I had no issues finding players for games, queues were extremely short, and I hope that there will be an influx of new players and the game does gain popularity and continues to grow, as it is something truly unique and absolutely fun to play. It is not a free-to-play title. It does require a purchase, which for something that is multiplayer only, which, let's be real here, that's what people purchase COD for anymore. That's what people purchase Battlefield for anymore. Most FPSs are purchased essentially to be played as multiplayer only titles, and this one is charged only as about a AA title. It is not a full $60, $70 game, so it is fairly cheap. But in my mind, supporting a good and unique take in this genre, especially one that is surprisingly well polished across all of its facets, aside from the aforementioned server issues and potential cheating issues that could be rectified easily, it is a good thing, especially when there is so much fun to be had in this title itself.